Hollywood too is starting to look a lot different. So the question we have is, how's the pandemic affecting Hollywood and where does it go from here? Let's start with red carpets because Tilda Swinton made a huge splash when she hit the red carpet at the Venice Film Festival, rocking, I mean, is this considered a mask? I don't
No.
know, but this is the opening ceremony of the film festival. I think she obviously was uh, trying to, I don't know, maybe encourage people that no matter where you are, you should be covering up your face. But technically, I don't think this will keep you safe from germs. What do you
Yeah.
think, Milicia?
Not at all. Inside the ceremony, I saw some photos. She had on an actual mask. As you said, I think that this was just a
Yeah.
message, to be responsible at this time. Celebrity stylist Elizabeth Stewart actually said that. She said that it was a symbol of responsibility and care. So I don't think that there's any way that this, I guess, what is it, a stingray? I don't know what it is,
Or
but
like a
it won't,
butterfly or,
right.
yeah.
I don't think it's meant to protect her. I think it's just a statement.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, it looks like she is walking the red carpet by herself. Typically at these things, especially at the Venice Film Festival, it is usually
Right?
very overpopulated. I mean, you got to think about the people who are on typically on red carpets. You have the celebrities, you have their publicists, sometimes more than one. Maybe their guest. You have handlers, you have hair and makeup, you have photographers, the reporters. Like it's usually jam packed with so many people, and I can tell just by looking at that footage there that they've kind of cleared the space, but they still
Right.
held like a minimal red carpet. You can see the photographers in the back with their masks. I mean, I think this will be the reality for a while, Milicia. Even though I don't predict that we'll see any, I don't know, red carpets locally. Anytime soon, like in the
Hmm.
Los Angeles area for movie premieres or for even award shows like the upcoming Emmys, I think it'll be
Right.
restricted for a long time to come.
Yeah, same. And I mean, it's been a lot for us to get used to personally, right? Because these red carpets, they're
Yeah.
exciting. They're something we look forward to. I mean, even the way they've changed how we interact with celebrities before these big events. Like we have virtual junkets now, which is something that's very unusual, but
Yeah.
we've been able to adapt. And I just can't wait to see when everything starts ramping up next year, like the Oscars and the Golden Globes,
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
all of that is going to pan out because we've been learning now. It's been kind of a trial and error at this point, and I feel like by that time
Yeah.
we'll probably have it. We'll have a grip on it for sure.
And by then, I think we're gonna have some even more fashionable masks and some PPE. You know what I
For
mean? Like we
sure.
just saw it recently with Lady Gaga at the VMAs. She rocked multiple masks that corresponded with her outfits as well. This was one of the first ones she rocked on the quote unquote red carpet or photo call for the VMAs. But I'm like, this is how you do it, okay? It's like safety first, but make it fashion.
Well, what I love about Lady Gaga's choices, first of all, she had about six masks that night, but she wanted to let people know
Yeah.
on her Instagram that she has been doing this. She said, quote, I was wearing face shields before it was a thing. And people wanted to say something. Now everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants to do it. So that was definitely
Exactly.
something I was like, okay, Gaga, you got us on that one.
I think that's just a glimpse of what red carpets could look like to come. But obviously, there are a lot of productions in TV and film that are starting to pick back up after having to hit pause due to the pandemic. And one of those productions is Riverdale. And now, Riverdale star Lily Reinhart, she is opening up about her experience with production starting back up again in Canada. So, due to the climate of COVID-19, the cast actually has to stay on location there to finish the season until Christmas. Lily told
Wow.
Nylon Magazine, I genuinely feel like a prisoner going back to work because I cannot leave Canada. She says that doesn't feel good. You can't go home for Thanksgiving, can't visit your family. No one can come visit
Yeah.
you unless they quarantine for 2 weeks. And like, that's when I start thinking about like,
Hmm.
is it worth it? Like, should there
Yeah.
just be an abbreviated season? Like, I know they were forced
Mm.
to shut down right in the middle of production. And I believe Lily told Nylon that they were in the middle of their prom episode. But that's when I'm like, how, the I just feel like sometimes it's not worth it. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
know there's a responsibility to put something on the air, and there's so many fans that are waiting and wanting
Yeah.
to get a whole complete season. But I'm like, if you're feeling like a prisoner, better call
I
SAG.
know. Yeah. And I mean, especially for someone like Lily, who has been very vocal about, not very vocal, but she's been open about her struggle with depression. And this summer has been, tough for
Mm,
her. She's been going through a journey of self-discovery, which I believe will benefit her in the end for sure, but it hasn't been an easy road. And I think that just speaks to,
right.
what's important in this moment. I think that Hollywood, of course, is ran by money, and that's just how it works. But we saw how in sports, in the NBA specifically, and the NFL, how some players chose to not return just for their mental sanity. It's too much
Yeah,
going on right now, and they didn't feel like they had enough in them, or they wanted to take the time out to play a sport, but for in this situation, she's committed to this
absolutely.
show, and it does suck. My heart goes out to her because I hope she is also, taking time for herself in between filming and everything to make sure that she's good mentally, because to be away from family
Healthy.
at a time like this, yeah, mentally healthy for sure. To be away from family at a time like this, and then you have big occasions coming up like Thanksgiving and Christmas, leading up to the holidays, that
Mm.
sucks, to know that you have to miss out on that for a show.
And I will say, I think it's important to note that I think there's going to be a lot of families that won't get to reunite for the holidays, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, is
For
because of the
sure.
pandemic, especially if you're traveling too. So it's just bad all around this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're all just trying to make it work. And I know that one aspect of normal life that everyone misses is going to the movies. And we're starting to
True.
see some more movie theaters start to open back up during this time, and we're seeing movies that were delayed now coming out too in different forms. Though, let's start with Mulan. I have been waiting for this movie for a
Me
really
too.
long time. It's the live action take of the Disney animated film, and now it's finally going to see an audience, but from home. The movie will be streaming only on Disney Plus for $30 starting today. Let's start with your
Hmm.
reaction to that. I mean, Alicia, is it worth the $30? Like, will you be paying to watch this at home?
Okay, I will be paying because, as you said, I've been waiting for this as well. But I get that, $30 isn't easy money for a lot of people, especially for something that's just entertainment,
Hmm.
right? It's not a necessity. So I have an idea for you, and I don't even know if this is the best. Well,
Ooh, a
it's
pitch?
I do. I have an idea. Okay. So if you don't want to pay that $30, something that I've been doing lately, which I don't even know if it's right or not, but partner up with a friend or something, split the money up, and then share your screen. Get on Skype and share your screen. It's something you can do. I don't know if
Okay.
that's like, it's an option though. I feel like this is a movie I know for me
Yeah.
personally, I've been waiting for. And when COVID first happened, it was
Yeah.
one of the first films that the release date got pushed back. So the fact that it's finally happening, it's a form of nostalgia in a sense.
Hmm.
I think everybody should, if you can, just get your mind off of other things and just enjoy it.
Right. Well, for me, it's also because I feel like there's so much at stake with this film, and there's so much that this movie represents. For me, it's a film with a largely predominant Asian cast, and it wasn't that long ago that we weren't seeing movies like this. So I feel like
Very
it's really
true.
important to support more
Yeah,
representation and diversity in Hollywood, and the only way they're gonna make more movies like that is if it makes money. So that's why
I
I'm like,
agree.
take my coin. You know what I mean? And also, not to mention the fact that, like, if this goes well, I mean, this is gonna be streaming on Disney Plus, which is relatively new platform. If this works out, we might get a chance to also see some future Disney,
Right.
Marvel, Star Wars films also hit the streamer. So it's like, I think they're counting on this to actually be a huge win for them, and for that, I'm like, okay, you got my support. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. That's
But
very important.
exactly. And another movie, a highly anticipated movie this summer, is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. But Tenet is hitting theaters, the ones that are at least open right now in the U.S. In fact, Tom Cruise himself actually took a little break from his quarantine wherever he's at to go watch the movie, which you can tell in this Instagram video that he shared. He was so excited about, but obviously it comes with its own set of restrictions. Namely, that you have to wear a mask throughout the entire movie. And I noticed that not every seat is taken. I think there's some space in
Mm.
between too. And so it really begs the question: how long will it be before most people return to theaters, and what will it look like? Well, ET's Kevin Frazier spoke with Cinemark CEO Mark Zorati with more.
How long will it be before you feel like people will return to movie theaters?
You know, we started to see it this weekend. There was a big expansion this weekend. So we added another 75 theaters this weekend, and we started to see it with Unhinged, which opened up. And this coming weekend is New Mutants, and then we got Tenet, and a whole bunch of great product coming in the fourth quarter. So we're starting to see it. The key for us is making people feel safe. So we have on every shift, we have a Cinemark chief safety and health monitor to make sure that all the things that we're promising the public are in fact happening. Everything from spraying the seats every night, to wiping down every surface, to people in the theater having masks on unless when they're eating, ticket or cashless ticket transactions.
Wow.
So every part of this theater we've put in health and safety protocols to make people feel safe.
Hearing those protocols, Melissa, does that calm any nerves that you might have about returning to the movie theaters?
No, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not I'll be in the theater in another year. I'm okay with making those sacrifices for my peace of mind. I'm not somebody who like loves to go to the movies. So it's not a big deal to me. I'll stay at home.
Well, listen, as someone who does love going to the movies, like the whole process, the whole art of it, the popcorn, the sound system, the social aspect of it, I'm willing to wait as well. I don't know if I'm that comfortable, and I feel like, especially in California in particular, we might have reopened a little too soon. And so I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait patiently. Thankfully, Mulan will be streaming so I can watch it from home. We'll do that, okay? While I figure out whether I'm comfortable going back to a movie theater, I'm also trying to figure out whether I'm comfortable hopping on a plane to travel. Thankfully, Jetpacks might be the way, okay? Because we saw one over LAX this week, Melissa. I know you loved this story.
Yes, I love this story. Okay, so listen up. An American Airlines pilot called the control tower at the Los Angeles International Airport to warn that his plane just flew past someone who was midair in a jetpack. The FBI is investigating, and on top of that, another plane actually called into the air traffic control and said the same thing. They said, "We just passed a guy on a jetpack." And what's the most hilarious part about this entire conversation to me was reading the transcription of the conversation between the pilot and the air traffic controller. The most interesting part of the conversation to me was reading the transcript of the pilot and the air traffic controller. And the air traffic controller responded to the pilot's claim saying, quote, "only in LA," which just sealed the deal for me. So I can't even imagine being on a plane and seeing somebody just flying past me in a jet. What?
You know what? It's because during this time, I feel like we've all been forced to get a little creative. You know, people are starting to pick up new hobbies. Maybe jetpacking is one of those hobbies, you know. And in fact, there was a recent study that showed that 2/3 of Americans said that coronavirus self-isolation has made them a better person because they gain time and flexibility to delve into new hobbies and discover new passions. Maybe your passion's, flying in a jetpack, if you somehow have the resources to do that. But I wonder, Melissa, do you feel like you're a better person because of COVID-19?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think COVID, for what it did for a lot of people, including myself, is that it brought up a lot of anxiety and fear that you might have on a day-to-day, and you just like put it under a pillow or whatever, or under the rug, and you really had to deal with it. I know for me personally, I just had to deal with negative thoughts and fearful thinking, and that's a tough thing to do, but it's been a process. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't say with absolute certainty that I am a better person because of this time, but I will say I feel like I'm stronger and more resilient. So I feel like that's thank
better.
You. But that's the message everyone should take. Is like, we are, exactly, it's better. It's better.
Yeah.